Hey guys, if you're new to my channel, my name's Hannah and I'm a certified holistic health coach and gut health expert. On my channel, you'll typically find me talking about the science-backed and sustainable information that you can put into play immediately to ditch the bloat and get off the diet roller coaster for good through optimizing your gut health. Today, we're gonna be talking about what to eat in a day for better gut health. Let's get into it. Here's the thing, we eat every single day. Maybe once, maybe 3 times, maybe 6 times a day, right? So the food that we eat, of course, it affects the way that we feel in our bodies, right? The foods that we eat literally start to form the cells in our body, and they can turn genes on and off, they can increase our energy, they can feed disease or fight disease, and food is really the biggest source of medicine, because when you think about it, if you're putting something into your body day after day after day and it's not very good for you, it maybe contains toxic oils, maybe you have a sensitivity to it, it's super high in sugar, that is coming into your body second after second, day after day after day, right? So the body is incredibly powerful and able to heal itself. However, when we keep throwing logs on the fire, it just gets bigger and bigger, right? So we really have to make sure that we're taking a look at the food that we eat and seeing whether it supports our health or is really hindering our health. With that being said, let's dive into my top tips for what to eat in a day to optimize your gut health. First and foremost, we're going to talk about prebiotics. So here's the thing, you've probably heard of probiotics, right? But prebiotics are just as important. Why? Because prebiotics actually feed the probiotics. So if you just continue to put probiotics, like taking a supplement or something like that, into your system, but you're not feeding them the right foods, they're going to kind of enter the system and then they can't grow. They're not being fed properly, right? So they love to eat prebiotics. So prebiotics are going to be found in foods like green apples, green bananas, garlic, leeks, Jerusalem artichoke, things like that. Those are some of my favorite foods that are loaded with prebiotics. So these are so important to make sure that you're getting them in your diet for better gut health. Now we're going to start talking about probiotics, right? So the number 2 recommendation is going to be fermented foods. So now I'm talking things like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, things like that. Be mindful of miso if you have a soy intolerance, but these foods actually help our gut repopulate with the good bacteria. So we need both, right? We need the fermented foods to help bring the good bacteria and kind of repopulate the gut. We also need the prebiotic foods to feed those good bacteria. The last thing I'll say about fermented foods is that if you notice that when you eat them, like 1 to 2 tablespoons of sauerkraut or something like that, if you notice an increase in bloating or that you can't digest them very properly, that could be a sign of dysbiosis or a bacterial overgrowth. So you want to reach out for help if you find that you get more bloated when eating things like that, because you're feeding those bugs, right? You're adding in some of the good bacteria, but if there's an overgrowth in the bacteria, it can actually lead to more symptoms and bloating. So if that happens, reach out for help, reach out to me, a functional medicine practitioner, someone, and make sure that you get a look at that. Number 3 is going to be antimicrobial foods. So these are going to be foods like coconut oil or oregano, like fresh oregano. Antimicrobial foods are going to help keep your gut flora in check, really. So they help kind of kill off the bad bacteria in the gut, which we don't want an overgrowth of, and therefore there can be a good balance and good ratio of more good bacteria than bad bacteria. So this is really helpful, because when we get an overgrowth, that's when we start getting all these symptoms. That's when it starts leading to like all sorts of symptoms, disease. It can be dysbiosis, it can be SIBO, leaky gut can be connected to that too, candida overgrowth. So really important to make sure that you're getting in some nice antimicrobial foods there too. Number 4 is going to be omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids have been shown to help decrease inflammation really systemically, so all over, especially when it comes to brain health and immune system health, as well as cardiovascular health. So most people often find that they're actually low in omega-3 fatty acids because many of the foods that we eat have such a high percentage of omega-6s, which are okay when in the proper ratio, right? So most people's ratio is like seriously out of balance. So we want to make sure that we're getting in more of those healthy omega-3 fatty acids. You're going to find this in things like wild salmon, oysters, sardines, things like that. And if you can't get them through your food, you really want to be making sure that you're taking a supplement. But get tested, see how your levels are, and see how it could be affecting your health. Number 5 is gonna be L-glutamine. This is one of my absolutely favorite components. L-glutamine is an amino acid that helps really seal up the junctions in the gut lining. So we have a very thin gut lining. It's like it's like thinner than a fingernail, okay? And oftentimes when we eat these foods that we have sensitivities to, when we eat these foods that cause inflammation, it breaks apart the tight junctions that we have in the gut lining. So when they break apart, all of these things start to flow through, like potentially parasites, undigested proteins, things like that. We really don't want them flowing through and into our bloodstream. So in order to keep the junctions nice and tight, right? That's why they're called tight junctions. We want them really sealed up. L-glutamine helps do this, which causes like a ripple effect of goodness. So you're gonna decrease inflammation, you're gonna keep things really where they should be, and it's really, really beneficial for your overall gut health. This is something that I always talk about in all of my gut health programs. So you can take this as a supplement, but you can also get it in things like collagen and bone broth as well. Number 6 is gonna be foods rich in zinc. So zinc is another really important kind of component to healing that gut barrier, really keeping that gut lining really nice and tight and strong. Many people are kind of deficient in zinc. So foods rich in zinc are going to be so helpful for your gut health and really good for your skin. Some of the foods that contain zinc are gonna be oysters, cashews, chickpeas, almonds, things like this. You may wanna look into getting a supplement, ask your doctor first for sure, but foods in zinc will really, really help keep that gut healthy barrier. Number 7 is gonna be foods rich in polyphenols. So polyphenols are so important and they have major anti-inflammatory effects on the gut. Foods rich in polyphenols are gonna be like blueberries, cranberries, pomegranate seeds, things like that, as well as one of my personal favorites, cacao powder. Cacao powder being the raw form of cocoa powder, aka the chocolatey taste, right? It comes from the cacao bean. I love to use this to make hot chocolate, to make yummy desserts. I have tons of recipes in my cookbook that actually contain cacao powder, which is also really high in magnesium, something that most of us are deficient in. So some of my favorite recipes are my brownies, my grain-free, dairy-free, sugar-free brownies. They're only 5 ingredients and they're amazing. And my chocolate bark and my hot chocolate that I make almost every day because I love chocolate and I just consume it in a gut healthy way. Last but not least, I couldn't make this video without talking about fiber. I love fiber so much, and fiber is so important for your gut health. So fiber helps keep everything moving, right? It attaches to toxins in the body. It helps bacteria be eliminated out of our system, as well as it helps feed those good bacteria in the gut. It can reduce cholesterol levels. It keeps our heart healthy. And it attaches, like I said, to toxins, extra fat, calories, helps pull them out of the body. And it also helps us feel full. So when we feel full throughout the day, it's easier for us to make good decisions come the next meal, if that makes sense, right? But if we're in this state where we're just like starving and panicking, it's more difficult for us to actually make a supportive decision when it comes to lunch or dinner or snacking, right? Because we're so hungry, we don't even care. So fiber is beneficial in a multitude of ways. And some of my favorite fiber foods are gonna be flax seeds, chia seeds, leafy greens are really amazing, psyllium husk, and you'll find in my cookbook, in my 3-day gut reset, I talk a lot about fiber and I show you some of my favorite sources and why they're a critical component of the Han Morning Power Smoothie for all of the reasons that I just said and more. So please make sure you're getting enough fiber. It's recommended that you get at least 35 grams of fiber a day, and most people don't get that. It's kind of harder to get it than you think. But I promise if you take one thing away from this video, and it's to increase your fiber, you will feel and see a difference like almost immediately. It's a total game changer. But make sure that if you're coming from a place where you really don't need a lot of fiber at all and you're increasing it, increase it gradually as opposed to like so much overnight, because that can actually lead to constipation if you increase too much. And make sure that you're drinking more water because it needs that water to help kind of pull everything out of the system. So if you don't drink enough water, that could lead to some bloating, as well as just increasing your amount of fiber too quickly, right? So if you're at something like 15 grams a day, which a lot of Americans are, then kind of gradually increase, try 20, then try 30, then try 40 type of thing. Yes, don't do it overnight. It could lead to some issues, especially some bloating. but fiber is my favorite gut-friendly food. But if you are also dealing with something like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, this can actually make things worse. So make sure that you have been tested for that if you're having a lot of gut health issues. But if not, overall fiber is a really, really helpful piece to the gut health puzzle. And if you're looking to refresh and help reset your gut microbiome in as little as 3 days, make sure to check out my 3-day gut reset below. It's totally free. It has all the meals planned out for you. The recipes are amazing and so delicious. I love them so much. Most people end up making them like far long after the reset, but it's a really powerful and science-backed and effective way to help get your gut microbiome on your side in as little as 3 days. It's the bomb. So make sure to check that out below. And if you liked what you saw here today, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, as well as leave any questions that you have in the comments below. Tell me what you loved the most out of this video, and I'll see you in the comments as always to connect and answer any questions that you have. See you in the next video.